In this video, we will break down every single acronym you need to know for the CompTIA A+ exam. From AAA to XSS, we will not only define them but also explain them with real-world examples and visuals to make them stick. So grab a notebook, hit that like button, and let's dive into the ultimate A+ acronym guide that will simplify your study journey. Triple A, that is authentication, authorization, and accounting. And authentication is the process of verifying the identity of a user, device, or system to ensure that only authorized entities gain access to resources. For example, it typically involves validating the credentials such as passwords, biometrics such as fingerprint, or security tokens. Next is the authorization. So authorization is the process of determining and granting a user permission to access specific resources, perform certain action, or use particular services based on their verified identity. Authorization usually takes place after authentication. And next is the accounting, which refers to tracking and recording a user's activities such as access to resources, performed actions, and system usage. Examples include login and logout logs, command execution logs, etc. So next is the Tetra A. So Tetra A is again the authentication, authorization, and accounting and auditing. So the fourth A is for auditing. And what is auditing? So auditing is the process of reviewing and examining logs, records, or activities to verify compliance, detect security issues, and ensure proper use of system. For example, a security team checks firewall logs to see if unauthorized access attempts occurred. Next is the ACL, and ACL is access control list. So it is a set of rules that define which users or systems are allowed or denied access to specific resources on a network or on a device. For example, a router ACL might allow only internal employees to access a company server while blocking all external IP addresses. So these ACL are predominantly configured on network devices such as routers and firewalls, and they are used to allow certain users or certain devices to access certain resources, while same ACL can be used to block or deny access for other IP addresses or other devices. Next is ADF, which is automatic document feeder. So it is a feature in scanners, copiers, or printers that automatically feeds multiple pages into the machine for scanning, copying, or faxing without needing to place each page manually. For example, in an office, an employee scans a 20-page contract by placing the stack into the ADF instead of scanning each page one by one. Next is AES, that is Advanced Encryption Standard. So AES, or Advanced Encryption Standard, is a symmetric encryption algorithm widely used for securing data. So symmetric encryption algorithm is the type of encryption where same key is used for encryption as well as decryption. So it operates on fixed size blocks of 1 to 8 bits and supports key length of 1 to 8, 192, or 256, known as AES 128, AES 192, and AES 256. AMD, that is Advanced Micro Devices, the corporation known as AMD. So it is a US-based semiconductor company that designs and manufactures computer processors, graphics cards, and related technology. So many laptops and gaming PCs use AMD Ryzen processors or AMD Radeon graphic cards as alternative to Intel and NVIDIA products. APFS, that is Apple File System. So it is a file system developed by Apple optimized for flash and solid state drives, that is SSDs, offering strong encryption, fast performance, and improved data integrity. For example, MacBooks and iPhones use APFS to manage files securely and efficiently on their SSD storage. Next is APIPA, that is Automatic Private Internet Protocol Addressing. So what is APIPA? So it is a feature in Windows that automatically assigns an IP address in the range of 169.254.xx when a device cannot obtain an IP address from a DHCP server. You must have seen this on your PCs or on your laptops. When there is some issue with the DNS server, with the DHCP server, or it is off, then your PC or laptop automatically gets an IP address in this range. And this specific IP address is known as APIPA. For example, if a laptop cannot reach the DHCP server, it may assign itself an APIPA address of 169.254.25.10, allowing local network communication but not internet access. So, for example, if there are multiple devices, let's suppose in a LAN environment, and they are connected, let's suppose, through a switch, and the DHCP server is having some issue, or it is, let's suppose, disconnected currently. So all these devices will get an IP address in this range. So in this way, these devices can then communicate with each other locally on this LAN, but they cannot, of course, access external resources such as internet. Next is ARM, that is Advanced Risk Machine, and the risk is Reduced Instruction Set Computer. So it is a family of processor based on the reduced instruction set computer or RISC architecture designed for high performance with low power consumption. For example, smartphones, tablets, and even Apple's M1 and M2 chips use ARM processors because they are energy efficient and extend battery life. Next is ATX, that is Advanced Technology Extended, and it is a motherboard and power supply specification that defines the physical layout, dimensions, and power connectors for desktop computers. For example, most modern desktop PCs use ATX motherboards, which support standardized slots for CPU, RAM, and expansion cards. Next is BEC, that is Business Email Compromise. So it is a cyber attack where criminals impersonate a trusted person such as CEO, vendor, or partner through email to trick employees into sending money or sensitive data. For example, an attacker spoofs the CEO's email address and asks the finance department to urgently transfer funds to a fake supplier account. Next is BIOS, that is Basic Input Output System. So BIOS is firmware embedded in a computer's motherboard that initializes hardware components during the boot up process and provides an interface between the operating system and the hardware. It performs basic system checks and loads the operating system from the storage. For example, when you power on your computer, the BIOS performs a post, that is power on self test, to check your hardware issue such as a faulty RAM or a missing hard drive. Next is BSOD, that is Blue Screen of Death. So it is a Windows error screen that appears when the system crashes due to critical errors, often related to hardware, drivers, or system software. For example, if a laptop's RAM is faulty, Windows may stop working and display a BSOD with an error code before restarting. BYOD, that is Bring Your Own Device. So it is a workplace policy that allows employees to use their personal devices like smartphones, laptops, or tablets to access company systems and data. For example, an employee uses their personal iPhone to check work emails and join company meetings under a BYOD policy. Next is CAC, that is calling card authorization computer. So it is a system used to authenticate and authorize the use of calling cards for making telephone calls, ensuring that only valid cards are used and tracking usage. For example, when someone dials an access number to use a prepaid calling card, the CAC system verifies the card details before allowing the call. Next is CIFS, that is Common Internet File System. So it is a protocol that allows file sharing over a network, enabling users and applications to access files on remote servers as if they were on a local computer. For example, in a company network, employees on Windows PCs use CIFS to open, edit, and save documents stored on a shared file server. CMDB, that is Configuration Management Database. So it is a centralized repository that stores information about an organization's IT assets such as hardware, software, and systems and their relationships. Example, an IT team use a CMDB to track servers, applications, and network devices, helping them quickly assess the impact of a system failure. Name, that is canonical name. So it is a type of DNS record that maps an alias name to a true or primary domain name. For example, a DNS record might map www.example.com alias to example.com, that is canonical name, so both point to the same address. CPU, that is central processing unit. So it is the primary component of a computer that performs calculations and executes instructions, often referred to as the brain of the computer. For example, when you run a program, the CPU processes its instructions, such as opening a web browser or playing a video. DB-9, that is serial communication D shell connector having 9 pins. So it is a type of connector with 9 pins commonly used for serial communication between computers and peripheral devices. For example, older PCs use a DB9 port to connect devices like modems, mice, or networking equipment via RS-232 serial communication. DDoS, that is distributed denial of service. So DDoS is a cyber attack in which multiple compromised systems, often part of a botnet, are used to flood a target such as a website or a server with a massive amount of traffic, overwhelming its resources and making it unavailable to legitimate users. For example, during a DDoS attack, a website might become slow or completely inaccessible due to an overwhelming number of requests from thousands or millions of infected devices across the globe. For instance, an online retailer might experience a DDoS attack during a major sale, causing their website to crash and preventing customers from making purchases. DDR, that is double data rate. So it is a type of computer memory, that is RAM, that transfers data twice per clock cycle, improving speed and performance compared to single data rate memory. Example, modern PCs use DDR4 or DDR5 RAM, which allow faster multitasking and application performance than older memory types. DHCP, that is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. So DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, is a network management protocol used to automatically assign IP addresses and other network configuration settings such as subnet mask, default gateway, and DNS servers to devices on a network. This eliminates the need for network administrators to manually assign IP addresses to every device. For example, when a device like a laptop or smartphone connects to a network, the DHCP server automatically assigns it an IP address from a predefined pool of available addresses. This makes the process of joining a network seamless and efficient. Next is DIMM, that is dual inline memory module. So it is a type of computer memory module that has separate electrical contacts on each side used to add RAM to desktop and servers. For example, a desktop PC may have multiple DIMM slots on its motherboard to install additional RAM for better performance. DKIM, that is domain keys identified mail. So DKIM or domain keys identified mail is an email authentication method used to verify the legitimacy of email messages. It allows the sender to attach a cryptographic signature to an email message, which recipients can use to verify that the email came from the claimed domain and has not been tampered with during transmission. For example, when you send an email, DKIM adds a unique digital signature to the message header. The recipient's mail server checks this signature against the public key stored in the domain's DNS records. If the signature is valid, it confirms that the email is authentic and has not been altered. DLP, that is data loss prevention. So DLP or data loss prevention is a set of technologies, policies, and practices designed to prevent sensitive data from being accessed, leaked, or misused by unauthorized users or systems. It focuses on monitoring and controlling data in use, that is active data, data in motion, that is data being transferred, and data at rest, that is stored data, to ensure that confidential information is not inadvertently or maliciously exposed. For example, in a company, DLP software can prevent employees from copying sensitive documents to external USB drive or uploading them to unauthorized cloud storage services, thus reducing the risk of data breaches. DMARC, that is domain message authentication, reporting, and conformance. So DMARC, that is domain-based message authentication, reporting, and conformance, is an email authentication protocol that helps protect against email spoofing and phishing. For example, if an attacker tries to send a fake email from a company's domain, DMARC can help prevent the email from being delivered to users by rejecting and flagging it based on the domain owner's policy. DNS, that is domain name system. So DNS or domain name system is a system that translates human readable domain names like www.example.com into machine readable IP addresses like 192.168.1.1 that computers use to identify each other on a network. It essentially acts as the phone book of the internet, enabling users to access websites using easy to remember domain names instead of numerical IP addresses. For example, when you type www.google.com into your browser, a DNS server resolves the domain name to the corresponding IP address, such as 142.250.190.78, allowing your browser to connect to Google's web server. DOS, that is denial of service. So DOS or denial of service is a type of cyber attack aimed at disrupting the availability of a network system or service, making it unusable for legitimate users. This is typically achieved by overwhelming the target with a flood of traffic or by exploiting vulnerabilities that cause a system to crash. For example, a DOS attack might involve sending an overwhelming amount of traffic to a website, causing the server to slow down or crash, making the site inaccessible to users. DRM, that is digital rights management. So it is a technology used to control how digital content like music, movies, ebooks, or software is accessed, copied, or distributed to prevent unauthorized use. For example, a streaming service like Netflix uses DRM to stop users from downloading and sharing movies illegally. DSL, that is digital subscriber line. So DSL is a high-speed internet connection technology that transmits data over traditional copper telephone lines. DSL allows for both voice and data transmission simultaneously without interfering with phone calls, making it a popular choice for home and small business broadband internet. For example, a user with DSL internet service can use their phone line for voice calls while simultaneously browsing the web at high speeds, typically ranging from 1 Mbps to over 100 Mbps depending on the type of DSL, for example, ADSL or VDSL. DVI, that is digital visual interface. So it is a video display interface used to connect a computer to monitor or projector, transmitting high quality digital or analog video signals. For example, a desktop PC might use a DVI cable to connect its graphic card to an external monitor for clear video output. ECC, that is error correcting code. So it is a type of computer memory or data storage technology that detects and corrects small errors to ensure data integrity. For example, servers often use ECC RAM to prevent crashes or data corruption caused by memory errors. EDR, that is endpoint detection and response. So it is a cybersecurity solution that monitors, detects, and responds to threats on endpoints like laptops, desktops, and servers. For example, an EDR tool can detect suspicious activity on an employee's laptop, like ransomware, and automatically isolate the device from the network. EFS, that is encrypted file system. So EFS is a feature in Microsoft Windows that provides file level encryption to protect sensitive data stored on a computer. EFS allows users to encrypt individual files or folders so that only authorized users or account with the correct decryption key can access the data, ensuring confidentiality even if the device is lost, stolen, or accessed by unauthorized individuals. So a user on a Windows system can encrypt a folder containing personal documents with EFS. If someone else gains access to the machine but does not have the user's credential, they cannot decrypt and read the file, ensuring the data remains protected. So what is then BitLocker? BitLocker also is an encryption mechanism in Microsoft Windows. So the difference between EFS in BitLocker is that the BitLocker encrypts a whole drive or share. So BitLocker is used for encryption of the whole drive, while the EFS is more granular and it can be used for file level or folder level encryption. EOL, that is end of life. So the stage when a product is no longer supported or produced by the manufacturer, meaning no updates, patches, or official assistance will be provided. For example, when Microsoft announced Windows 7 reached EOL in January 2020, users stopped receiving security updates unless they upgraded to the next version of the window. eSATA, that is external serial advanced technology attachment. So eSATA is an interface that allows external storage devices to connect to a computer using the same high-speed SATA technology as external drive. For example, a user can connect an external hard drive via an eSATA port for faster data transfer compared to USB 2.0. ESD, that is electrostatic discharge. So it is a sudden flow of electricity between two objects with different electrical charges, which can damage sensitive electronic equipment. For example, technicians wear anti-static wrist straps when handling computer parts to prevent ESD from damaging circuits. EULA, that is End User License Agreement. It is a legal contract between the software provider and the user that defines how the software can and cannot be used. For example, when installing Microsoft Office, users must accept the EULA, which prohibits sharing the software license with unauthorized people. XFAT, that is Extended File Allocation Table. So XFAT is a file system developed by Microsoft designed for flash drives and external storage supporting large file and better compatibility than FAT32. For example, a 1 terabyte external hard drive formatted with XFAT can store files larger than 4 GB, unlike FAT32. FAT32, it is a 32-bit file allocation table. So it is a widely used file system that organizes and manages files on storage devices, but with limitations such as maximum file size of 4 GB. For example, many USB flash drives are formatted with FAT32 to ensure compatibility with Windows, macOS, and even gaming consoles. FRT, that is facial recognition technology. So it is a biometric technology that identifies or verifies a person by analyzing unique facial features such as using cameras and software. For example, smartphone uses FRT to unlock the device by scanning the user's face instead of requiring a password. FTP, that is File Transfer Protocol. So it is a standard network protocol used to transfer files between computers over a TCP/IP network like the internet. For example, a web developer uses FTP to upload website files from their computer to a hosting server. FTPS, that is Secured File Transfer Protocol. So FTPS, File Transfer Protocol Secure, is an extension of the standard FTP that adds support for encryption and secure connection. FTPS uses SSL/TLS, that is Secure Socket Layer, and transport layer security to encrypt data during transfer, ensuring that both the control and data channels are secured. For example, a company using FTPS might transfer financial records or confidential client data over the internet. FTPS ensures that the data is encrypted during the transfer, preventing interception or tampering by unauthorized parties. GFS, that is grandfather, father, son. So it is a backup rotation strategy that uses three sets of backups: daily, referred to as son; weekly, referred to as father; and monthly, referred to as grandfather, to balance data protection and storage use. For example, a company runs daily backups, sons; keeps weekly backups, fathers; and stores monthly backups, grandfathers, off-site for long-term recovery. GPT, that is GUID partition table. So it is a modern partition standard for storage devices that supports very large disks and more partitions than the older MBR, that is Master Boot Record System. For example, a 4 DB hard drive uses GPT to create multiple partitions since MBR can only handle up to 2 terabyte. GPS, that is Global Positioning System. So GPS or Global Positioning System is a satellite-based navigation system that provides location and time information anywhere on Earth. For example, navigation in vehicle, GPS is commonly used in car navigation systems. A driver can use GPS to get turn-by-turn direction, real-time traffic updates, and estimated arrival times, ensuring they reach their destination efficiently. GUID, that is Globally Unique Identifier. So it is a 22-bit, it is a 1 to 8-bit identifier used in software to uniquely distinguish objects, files, or resources across systems without duplication. For example, a GUID might be assigned to a software component or database entry to ensure it remains unique worldwide. HDD, that is hard disk drive. So HDD or hard disk drive is a data storage device that uses spinning magnetic disk to store and retrieve digital information. It is commonly used in computers, servers, and other devices for long-term data storage. For example, a 1 terabyte HDD is in a desktop computer stores operating system, application, and personal files like documents and photos. HDMI, that is high definition media interface. So it is a standard interface used to transmit high quality digital video and audio between devices. For example, a TV connects to a gaming console or Blu-ray player using an HDMI cable for both sound and picture. HIDS, that is host-based intrusion detection system. So HIDS monitors a single device or host for suspicious activity or policy violation by analyzing logs, file changes, and system behavior. It focuses on detecting attacks specific to that host. For example, an HIDS on a server might alert administrators if unauthorized changes are made to system files or if unusual login attempts are detected. HSM, that is hardware security module. So HSM or hardware security module is a physical device designed to manage, store, and protect cryptographic keys and perform encryption and decryption operations. It provides a secure environment for cryptographic processes, ensuring data confidentiality and integrity. For example, banks use HSMs to securely manage encryption keys for ATM transactions. HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So HTTP Hypertext Transfer Protocol is a protocol used for transferring data between a web browser and a web server. It facilitates the loading of web pages by sending requests and receiving responses in plain text. For example, when you enter HTTP example.com in a browser, an HTTP request is sent to the server, which responds with the web page's content. HTTPS, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. So it is a secure version of HTTP that uses encryption, that is SSL/TLS, to protect data exchange between a web browser and a website. For example, when shopping online, websites use HTTPS to encrypt payment details so attackers cannot steal them. IaaS, that is Infrastructure as a Service. So IaaS, Infrastructure as a Service, is a cloud computing model that provides virtualized computing resources over the internet, such as virtual machines, storage, networking, without the need for on-premises hardware. For example, Amazon Web Services offers IaaS, allowing businesses to rent virtual servers and storage on demand. IAM, that is Identity and Access Management. So IAM, Identity and Access Management, is a framework that manages the identity of users and devices within an organization and controls their access to resources, ensuring that only authorized entities can access specific data or systems. For example, AWS IAM allows administrators to create and manage users and permissions, ensuring that employees have access only to the resources they need to perform their job functions. IMAP, that is Internet Message Access Protocol. So IMAP or Internet Message Access Protocol is a protocol used by email clients to retrieve messages from an email server. Unlike POP3, IMAP allows emails to be stored on the server, enabling access from multiple devices and syncing email actions like reading or deleting across all devices. For example, Gmail uses IMAP to allow users to access their emails on different devices such as phones, tablets, and computers while keeping the inbox synchronized. IOPS, that is input output operations per second. So it is a performance measurement that shows how many read and write operations on a storage device like an SSD or HDD can perform in 1 second. For example, an SSD with 50,000 IOPS can handle data requests much faster than a traditional hard drive with only 200 IOPS. IoT, that is Internet of Things. So IoT or Internet of Things refers to the network of physical devices that are embedded with sensors, software, and other technologies, allowing them to connect and exchange data over the internet. For example, smart thermostats like Nest can be controlled remotely via a smartphone application, adjusting the temperature in a home based on user preferences and behavior. IP, that is Internet Protocol. So IP is a set of rules that govern how data is transmitted over a network. It is responsible for addressing and routing packets of data to their destination. For example, IPv4 uses a 32-bit address format, for example 192.168.1.1, for identifying devices on a network. IPS, that is Intrusion Prevention System. So IPS or Intrusion Prevention System is a security solution that actually monitors network or system traffic for malicious activity and takes action to block or prevent attacks in real time. For example, an IPS can automatically block traffic from an IP address known to be associated with a DDoS attack, that is distributed denial of service. ISO, that is International Organization for Standardization. So it is an independent organization that develops and publishes international standards to ensure quality, safety, efficiency, and compatibility across industries. For example, a company may follow ISO 27001 standards to implement and maintain an effective information security management system. ITX, that is Information Technology Extended. So it is a family of compact motherboards form factors designed for small sized computers while maintaining standard features and connectivity. For example, a mini ITX motherboard is often used in small form factor PCs such as home theater PCs, that is HT PCs. KVM, that is keyboard video mouse. So it is a hardware device or switch that allows a user to control multiple computers using a single keyboard, mouse, and monitor. For example, an IT administrator uses a KVM switch to manage several servers from one workstation without needing separate peripherals for each. LAN, that is local area network. So LAN is a network that connects computer and devices within a limited geographical area such as a home, office, or campus. It allows devices to share resources like files, printers, and internet connection. For example, in an office, a LAN might be used to connect all computers, printers, and server to share files and access the internet through a central router. LC, that is Lucent Connector. So it is a small form factor fiber optic connector used for high density network applications, known for secure latch and reliable performance. For example, data centers often use LC connectors in fiber optic cables to connect switches, routers, and storage systems. So this is how an LC connector looks like. LCD, that is liquid crystal display. So it is a flat panel display technology that uses liquid crystal and a backlight to produce images commonly found in screens. For example, most computer monitors, TV, and smartphone screens uses LCD technology for clear and energy efficient displays. LDAP, that is lightweight directory access protocol. So LDAP is an open protocol used to access and manage directory services over a network, typically for authentication and user information. For example, a company uses LDAP to let employees log in to multiple applications with the same username and password stored in the directory. LED, that is light emitting diode. So it is a semiconductor device that emits light when an electric current passes through it, known for being energy efficient and long lasting. For example, modern TVs, computer monitors, and light bulbs often use LED technologies for bright and efficient lighting. MAC, that is media access control. So MAC is a unique hardware identifier assigned to a network interface card, that is NIC, used for communication on a local network. For example, a router uses the MAC address of a device to allow or block it from connecting to the Wi-Fi network. MAN, that is metropolitan area network. So MAN is a type of network that covers a large geographic area than a LAN, but is smaller than a wide area network or WAN. It typically spans a city or a large campus and is used to connect multiple LANs within that area. For example, a MAN can connect the offices of a company located in different buildings within a city, allowing for high speed data transfer between locations. MBR, that is master boot record. So MBR or master boot record is a special type of boot sector located at the beginning of a storage device such as hard drive. It contains information about the partitioning of the disk and the bootloader, which helps load the operating system. For example, the MBR typically stores the partition table, which defines how the storage device is divided into partitions, that is primary, extended, and logical. MDM, that is mobile device management. So MDM or mobile device management is a set of tools and policies used by organizations to manage and secure employees' mobile devices such as smartphones, tablets, and laptops. It allows IT administrators to control access, enforce security measures, and remotely wipe data if necessary. For example, MDM solutions like Microsoft Intune or VMware AirWatch allow companies to enforce password policies track device locations, and remotely disable or wipe devices in case of loss or theft. MDR, that is Managed Detection and Response. So it is a cybersecurity service that provides 24/7 monitoring, threat detection, and response for an organization IT environment, often managed by an external provider. For example, a company hires an MDR service to detect malware or ransomware attacks on its network and respond immediately to contain threats. MFA, that is multi-factor authentication. So MFA is a security process that requires user to provide two or more verification factors to gain access to a system, application, or account. It enhances security by combining different types of credentials, such as something the user knows, that is password, something the user has, such as a smartphone, or something the user is, that is biometric data. For example, a common MFA setup includes a password, which is something you know, and a one-time code sent to your phone, that is something you have. MMC, that is Microsoft Management Console. So it is a Windows application that provides a unified interface to manage system tools, services, and administrative tasks through customizable console. For example, an IT administrator uses MMC to manage device manager, event viewer, and group policy from a single interface. MNDA, that is Mutual Non-Disclosure Agreement. So it is a legal contract between two parties where both agree to keep shared confidential information private and not disclose it to others. For example, two companies discussing a joint project sign an MNDA to protect each other's data, each other's trade secrets and business plans. MSATA, that is Mini Serial Advanced Technology Attachment. So it is a compact version of the SATA interface used for connecting small solid state drive, that is SSD, in laptops and embedded system. For example, a thin laptop uses an M-SATA SSD to provide fast storage without taking up much space inside the device. MSDS, that is Material Safety Data Sheet. So it is a compact version. Sorry, this is again this definition of the M-SATA, not the MSDS. So it is MSDS is a data sheet like this that contains information about different safety measures and precautions about different hazards such as you can see skin hazards or other things. MX, that is mail exchange. So it is a type of DNS record that specifies the mail server responsible for receiving email messages on behalf of a domain. For example, the MX record for example.com directs incoming mails to mail.example.com, ensuring messages reach the correct server. NDA, that is non-closure agreement. Non-disclosure agreement. So NDA or non-disclosure agreement is a legal contract that ensures that one party agrees not to disclose confidential information shared by the another party. It is often used to protect sensitive business information, trade secrets, or intellectual property. For example, a company may ask employees or partners to sign an NDA to prevent them from sharing proprietary product designs or customer data with competitors. Net bias, which is network basic input output system. So it is a protocol that allows applications on different computers in a local network to communicate and share resources like files and printers. For example, older Windows network use NetBIOS to let computers browse shared folders and printers on the same LAN. NFC, that is near field communication. So NFC is a set of communication protocols that enables short-range wireless communication between devices, typically within a distance of 4 inches, that is 10 centimeters. It is commonly used for contactless payments, data sharing, and pairing devices. For example, NFC used in contactless credit card payments where you simply tap your card or phone near a point of sale terminal to complete a transaction. NIC, that is Network Interface Card. It is a hardware component that enables a computer or device to connect to a network and communicate with other devices. For example, a computer uses an NIC card to connect to a wired Ethernet network or a wireless Wi-Fi network. So this is an example of the wired NIC card. NTFS, that is New Technology File System. So NTFS is a file system developed by Microsoft for use with Windows operating system. It provides features like file permissions, encryption, disk quotas, and improved metadata support, making it more secure and reliable than older file systems like FAT32. For example, NTFS allows users to set file permission, so only authorized users can access or modify certain files. NTP, that is Network Time Protocol. So NTP is a protocol used to synchronize the clocks of computers and devices over a network. It ensures that all devices in a network have the correct time, which is crucial for logging events, coordinating tasks, and securing communication. For example, NTP is commonly used in enterprise environments to keep all servers and workstations synchronized to a reliable time source such as an atomic clock or GPS. NVMe, that is non-volatile memory express. So it is a high-speed storage protocol designed for SSDs that connects directly to the PCIe bus, offering faster data transfer and lower latency than SATA. For example, a gaming PC uses an NVMe SSD to load large games quickly and reduce system boot times. OLED, that is organic light emitting diode. So it is a display technology where each pixel emits its own light using organic compounds, allowing for deeper blacks, higher contrast, and thinner screens. For example, high-end smartphones and TVs use OLED displays for vibrant colors and superior picture quality compared to LCD. ONT, that is optical network terminal. So it is a device that converts fiber optic signals into electronic signals, allowing internet, TV, and phone services to be delivered to home or businesses. For example, in a fiber to the home setup, the ONT connects the incoming fiber line to the home router for internet access. OS, that is operating system. So it is the core software that manages computer hardware and software resources, providing an environment for application to run. For example, Windows, macOS, Linux, and Android are common operating systems that let users interact with their devices. OT, that is operational technology. So OT, operational technology, refers to hardware and software systems used to monitor and control physical processes, devices, and infrastructure in industries like manufacturing, energy, transportation, and utilities. For example, OT includes systems like SCADA, that is supervisory control and data acquisition used in power plants to control and monitor operations, or PLC, that is programmable logical controllers used to automate factory machinery. OTP, that is one time password or passcode. It is a temporary unique code used for authentication, typically valid for only one login session or transaction. For example, when logging into your online banking, a user may receive an OTP via SMS to verify their identity before accessing their account. PaaS, that is platform as a service. So PaaS, platform as a service, is a cloud computing model that provides a platform allowing customers to develop, run, and manage applications without worrying about the underlying infrastructure. It includes tools for development, testing, and deployment. For example, PaaS providers like Google App Engine or Microsoft Azure allow developers to build applications and deploy them on the cloud without managing servers or networking. And that is privileged access management. So PAM, privileged access management, is a security practice for controlling and monitoring access to critical systems and sensitive data by users with elevated privileges. It helps prevent misuse by limiting access rights and providing auditing capabilities. For example, a PAM solution may require administrators to use a secure vault to retrieve privileged credentials and log all actions performed during the session. PAN, that is personal area network. So it is a small network centered around an individual's devices, typically within a range of few meters. For example, connecting a smartphone to a wireless earbuds via Bluetooth creates a PAN. PC, that is personal computer. So it is a computer designed for individual use, typically equipped with an operating system, storage, and input-output devices. For example, a desktop or laptop used at home or work for tasks like browsing, gaming, or document editing is a PC. PCI, that is peripheral component interconnect. So it is a hardware bus standard that allows adding expansion cards like sound cards, network cards, or graphic cards to a computer's motherboard. For example, an older desktop PC might use a PCI slot to install a network interface card for internet connectivity. PCIe, that is Peripheral Component Interconnect Express. So it is a high-speed interface standard used to connect components like graphic cards, SSDs, and network card to a computer's motherboard. A modern gaming PC uses a PCIe X16 slot, such as this one, to install a powerful graphic card for high-performance gaming. PII, that is Personally Identifiable Information. So PII, personally identifiable information, refers to any information that can be used to identify an individual either directly or indirectly. This includes data such as names, addresses, phone numbers, social security numbers, and email addresses. For example, a customer's name and email address collected during an online purchase are considered PII and must be protected to prevent identity theft or privacy violations. PIN, that is Personal Identification Number. So it is a numeric code used to verify a person's identity for security and authentication purposes. For example, users enter a 4-digit PIN at an ATM to access their bank account. PIV, that is Personal Identity Verification. So PIV, Personal Identity Verification, is a standard for government issued identification card used to verify an individual's identity. These cards contain biometric data, a digital certificate, and other information to enhance security for access control. For example, US federal employees use PIV cards to access secure government systems, ensuring that only authorized individuals can gain access. PKCS, that is Public Key Cryptography Standards. So PKCS is a set of cryptographic standards developed to promote the use of public key cryptography. These standards define how keys, certificates, and encryption techniques should be formatted and used for secure communication. Example, PKCS number 12 is a popular standard for storing and transporting user or server certificates along with their private keys, often used for SSL/TLS configurations. POP or POP, that is Post Office Protocol. So POP, Post Office Protocol, is an email protocol used to retrieve messages from an email server to a local device. It typically downloads emails to client and removes them from the server, making them accessible offline. For example, a user may configure their email client to use POP to download messages from their email provider server, storing them locally on their computer. POTS, that is power on self test. So it is a diagnostic process run by a computer's firmware, that is BIOS or UEFI, when it is powered on, checking hardware components before loading the operating system. For example, when turning on a PC, the post verifies RAM, CPU, and storage. If something fails, it may produce beep codes or an error message. So the POTS, remember, also stands for plain, I think, plain old telephone switching. But here in this CompTIA A plus, this refers for power on self test. So this diagram basically refers to this abbreviation. PUP, or potentially unwanted program. So PUP, potentially unwanted program, refers to software that may not be malicious but can negatively affect the performance of a computer or be undesirable to the user. So PUPs are often bundled with other software or some or come from untrustworthy resources. For example, a free software installer may include a PUP that slows down the system or shows unwanted ads even though it is not classified as malware. Radius, that is remote authentication dial-in service. So Radius remote authentication dial-in service is a protocol used for authentication, authorization, and accounting, that is AAA in network access. It is commonly used to manage user access to internet services, VPNs, and wireless networks by verifying user credentials and ensuring proper access permissions. For example, a Wi-Fi router might use Radius to authenticate users before granting access to the network, ensuring only authorized devices can connect. RAID, that is redundant array of independent disks. So RAID is a storage technology that combines multiple physical drives into one system for improved performance, redundancy, or both. For example, a server uses RAID 1 to mirror data across two drives so that if one drive fails, the other still keeps the data safe. RAM, that is random access memory. So RAM is a type of volatile computer memory that temporarily stores data and instructions the CPU needs while performing tasks. For example, when you open multiple applications, your computer uses RAM to keep them running smoothly for quick access. RDP, that is remote desktop protocol. So RDP, or Remote Desktop Protocol, is a proprietary protocol developed by Microsoft that allows users to connect to and control a remote computer or a network. It provides a graphical interface for users to interact with the desktop of the remote system. For example, a system administrator might use RDP to remotely manage a server accessing its desktop interface as if they were physically present at the machine. REFS, that is Resilient File System. So REFS is a Microsoft file system designed for high data integrity, scalability, and resilience against corruption, often used in server and storage systems. For example, a Windows server may use REFS instead of NFS to handle large volume of data with built-in error correction. RFID, that is radio frequency identifier. So RFID is a technology that uses radio waves to identify and track objects, animals, or people with an RFID tag. These tags contain data that can be read by RFID readers without needing direct contact. For example, an RFID tag in a library book allows for automatic checkout and inventory management without the need for manual scanning of each item. RJ11, that is register jack function 11. So RJ11 is a standard connector used mainly for telephone lines, typically with 4 or 6 pins, but usually only 2 active pins for a single phone line. For example, a landline phone connects to the wall socket using an RJ11 connector. RJ45 is registered jack function 45. So it is a standard connector used for Ethernet networking, typically with 8 pins, allowing devices to connect to wired network. For example, a computer connects to a router or switch using an Ethernet cable with an RJ45 connector. RMM, that is remote monitoring and management. So RMM is a software tool that allows IT administrators to monitor, manage, and maintain client systems and networks remotely. For example, an MSP, that is managed service provider, uses RMM software to update software, track performance, and fix issues on client computers without being on site. RSR, that is rapid security response. So it is a type of quick software update mainly used in Apple devices that delivers urgent security fixes without waiting for a full system update. For example, an iPhone may receive an RSR update to patch a critical vulnerability in Safari before the next iOS version is released. SaaS, that is software as a service. So SaaS or software as a service is a cloud computing model where software is delivered over the internet and accessed via web browser without needing installation on local devices. Users pay for it through subscription and benefit from automatic updates and scalability. For example, Gmail, Microsoft 365, and Salesforce are popular SaaS applications. SAML, that is Security Assertion Markup Language. So SAML or Security Assertion Markup Language is an open standard for exchanging authentication and authorization information between an identity provider and a service provider. It enables single sign-on, that is SSO, allowing users to log in once and access multiple applications securely. For example, logging into a company's HR portal using SAML SSO with your corporate credentials. SAN, that is Storage Area Network. So, sorry, this definition is not for SAN. So, SAN is basically a storage area network where storage is centrally controlled and it is provided to devices such as server and application. And this network consists of high-speed network such as the fiber network having speeds of 8, 16 or 32 GB. So this high-speed fiber network that connects storage centrally to the server and application is known as SAN or storage area network. SAS, that is serial attached SCSI, where SCSI is small computer system interface. So SAS is a high-speed data transfer protocol used to connect storage devices like hard drive and SSD to servers, offering better performance and reliability than traditional SATA. For example, enterprise servers often use SAS drives for database that require fast, reliable access to large amount of data. SATA. So SATA is Serial Advanced Technology Attachment. So it is a computer bus interface used to connect storage devices like hard drives and SSDs to the motherboard. For example, a desktop PC may use a SATA cable to connect its hard drive to the motherboard for data storage. SC, that is subscriber connector. So it is a type of fiber optic connector known for its square shape and push-pull mechanism commonly used in network and telecom applications. For example, an internet service provider may use SC connectors to link fiber optic cables in a central office to customer connections. SCADA, that is supervisory control and data acquisition. So SCADA, that is supervisory control and data acquisition, is a system used to monitor and control industrial processes such as those in manufacturing, energy, and utilities. It collects real-time data from sensors and devices, allowing operators to control systems remotely and ensure everything is functioning properly. For example, SCADA systems are used to manage and monitor power grids, water treatment plants, and oil pipelines. SCSI, that is Small Computer System Interface. So, SCSI or Small Computer System Interface is a set of standards for connecting and transferring data between computers and peripheral devices like hard drives, scanners, and printers. For example, older servers often use SCSI drivers to handle multiple storage devices on a single bus for faster data access. SIM, that is Subscriber Identity Module. So SIM or Subscriber Identity Module is a small card used in mobile phone devices that securely stores a user's subscriber information, including their phone number, authentication keys, and network access information. It allows the device to connect to mobile network and provide security features such as encryption for communication. For example, in smartphones, the SIM cards ensure that a user can make calls, send messages, and use mobile data by identifying them on the network. SLA, that is Service Level Agreement. So SLA or Service Level Agreement is a formal contract between a service provider and a customer that outlines the expected level of service, including performance metrics, response times, and responsibilities. It helps ensure that both parties agree on the quality and scope of the service to be provided. For example, an SLA between a cloud service provider and a business might specify a guaranteed uptime of 99.9% and a maximum response time of 4 hours for support requests. SMART is self-monitoring analysis and reporting technology. So SMART is a monitoring system built into hard drives and SSDs that detects and reports sign of drive health issues or potential failures. For example, if a hard drive shows smart errors, the system wants the user to back up data before the drive fails. SMB, that is server message block. So SMB is a network file sharing protocol that allows computers to read, write, and share files, printers, and other resources over a network. Example, Windows systems commonly use SMB to share folders and printers within a local network. SMS is short message service. So SMS is a text messaging service used on mobile networks to send and receive short text messages, typically limited to 160 characters per message. Example, when you receive a bank transaction alert on your phone as a text, it's delivered via SMS. SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. It is a protocol used to send and relay emails between mail servers and from mail clients to servers. It typically works on port 25, 465, which is secure, or 587 for submission. Example, when you send an email from Outlook or Gmail, SMTP is the protocol that transmits your message to the recipient's mail server. SODIMM, that is small outline dual inline memory module. So it is a smaller, more compact type of RAM module designed mainly for laptops, small form factor PCs, and networking hardware. It functions the same as standard DIMMs but saves space. For example, most laptops use SODIMM RAM instead of the larger desktop DIMM RAM sticks. SOHO, that is small office, home office. So SOHO refers to a small scale business or workspace setup, usually with fewer employees and limited IT infrastructure. SOHO environments often rely on consumer grade networking equipment and cloud services instead of enterprise solutions. For example, a freelancer working from home with a Wi-Fi router, printer, and laptop is considered a SOHO setup. SOP, that is standard operating procedure. So it is a set of written instructions that describes how to carry out routine or repetitive tasks in a consistent and standardized way. SOPs can help maintain quality, efficiency, and compliance with policies or regulations. For example, NIT Help Desk SOP may include step-by-step procedures for resetting user passwords. SPF, that is Sender Policy Framework. So SPF or Sender Policy Framework is an email authentication protocol used to prevent email spoofing. It allows the domain owner to specify which email servers are authorized to send emails on behalf of their domain. By checking the SPF record, receiving mail servers can verify if the emails come from a trusted source. Example, if an email is received from example.com, the receiving mail server checks the SPF record for example.com to ensure the email came from an authorized mail server, helping to block phishing attempts. SPAM, that is spam or internet messaging. So spam or instant messaging or internet messaging refers to unsolicited and often intrusive messages sent over instant messaging platform. These spam messages are typically used for advertising, scams, or phishing attacks. For example, a user might receive a message from an unknown contact offering a fake price or attempting to trick them into providing personal information which is considered spam. SPICE, that is software process improvement and capability determination. So SPICE is a framework and standard of IEC 15504 used to assess and improve software development processes. It provides a structured way to evaluate an organization's software practices, determine capability levels, and identify areas for improvement. For example, a company developing a banking software may use PIS to assess whether its testing and quality assurance processes meet industry best practices, then improve weak areas to ensure compliance and higher reliability. SQL, that is structured query language. So SQL, structured query language, is a programming language used to manage and manipulate relational databases. It allows users to create, read, update, and delete data in a database, often referred to as CRUD operations. For example, a simple SQL query to retrieve all records from a customer table would look like this. Select static from customers, where this is the table where we want to query or select everything from this table. SSD, that is solid state drive. So SSD, solid state drive, is a type of data storage device that uses NAND based flash memory to store data, providing faster access times, higher reliability, and lower power consumption compared to traditional hard disk drives. For example, SSDs are commonly used in laptops and desktops to improve performance, allowing for faster boot times and quicker file transfers compared to older HDDs. SSID, that is Service Set Identifier. So SSID is a unique name assigned to a Wi-Fi network so that devices can identify and connect to it. It distinguishes one wireless network from another in the same area. For example, when you connect your phone to Wi-Fi and see network names like Home Wi-Fi 123 or Coffee Shop FreeNet, those are basically SSIDs, such as these. SSH, that is Secure Shell. So SSH, Secure Shell, is a cryptographic network protocol used to securely access and manage remote systems over an unsecured network. It provides a secure channel for communication by encrypting the data and ensuring authentication between the client and server. For example, using SSH, an administrator can securely log into a remote server and execute commands or manage files. SSO, which is single sign-on. So it is an authentication method that allows a user to log in once and gain access to multiple applications or systems without needing to enter credentials again for each one. For example, when you sign in with your Gmail account and automatically access Gmail, Google Drive, and YouTube without re entering your password, that's SSO. ST is straight tip. So, ST is a type of fiber optic connector with a bayonet style coupling mechanism. It is commonly used in networking environment for quick connections and disconnections. For example, you will often find ST connectors in fiber optic installations for campus or building backbone networks. TechX Plus or TechX is Terminal Access Control System. So TechX Plus or Terminal Access Control System Plus is a protocol used for network device access control and authentication. It provides centralized authentication for users trying to access network devices like routers and switches and offers encryption for the entire authentication process. improving security over earlier protocols like Radius. Example, in a network, TechX Plus can be used to authenticate network administrators before granting them access to configure routers and switches, ensuring that only authorized personnel can make changes. TCP/IP, which is Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. So TCP/IP or Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol is a suite of communication protocols used to connect devices on a network such as the Internet. TCP handles data transmission TCP handles data transmission reliability by ensuring data packets are received in order, while IP is responsible for addressing and routing the packets to their destination. For example, when you access a website, your computer uses TCP/IP to break down your request into packets, send them over the network, and reassemble them correctly when they reach the destination. TKIP, that is Temporal Key Integrity Protocol. So TKIP, Temporal Key Integrity Protocol, is a security protocol used in wireless networks to provide encryption for data transmitted over Wi-Fi. It was introduced as part of the IEEE 802.11i standard to improve security over the older WEP, which is Wired Equivalent Privacy Protocol. TKIP dynamically generates encryption keys to prevent replay attacks and ensures data integrity. Example, TKIP is used in WPA, that is Wi-Fi protected access to secure wireless communications, providing a stronger encryption method than web, but it has since been largely replaced by the more secure AES, that is Advanced Encryption Standard. TN, that is Twisted Pneumatic. So it is a type of LCD panel technology that uses liquid crystals twisted at 90 degrees to control light passage. It is known for fast response times and low cost, but has narrower viewing angles and less color accuracy compared to IPS or VA panels. For example, many budget gaming monitors use TN panels because of their quick refresh rates, even if image quality is lower. TOTP, which is time-based one-time password. Again, this definition is not for TOTP. So TOTP is just like the PIN. It is a one-time based password that is sent for authentication, such as we already studied, when you log in into your bank account, you may receive a one-time password like this on your smartphone, which you then enter into the banking application to authenticate and log in. TPM is Trusted Platform Module. Again, this is definition is not for TPM. So TPM is a security chip that is built in modern hardware such as laptop and PCs, and it stores encryption keys, and these keys can then be used for secure encryption of storage devices as well as hardware integrity. And this chip is basically tamper proof. It means you cannot physically extract the keys from this chip. UAC, that is user account control. So it is a Windows security feature that helps prevent unauthorized changes to the operating system by prompting for confirmation or administrator approval before allowing certain action. For example, when you try to install new software or change system settings, UAC may display a pop-up asking, do you want to allow this application to make changes to your device, such as this pop-up. UDP, that is User Datagram Protocol. So it is a connectionless transport layer protocol that sends data packets or datagrams without establishing a connection or guaranteed delivery, order, or error checking. It is faster but less reliable than TCP. Example, used in live video streaming, voice over IP, and online gaming where speed is more important than reliability. UEFI, which is Unified Extensible Firmware Interface, a modern type of firmware that initializes hardware and starts the operating system, replacing traditional BIOS with more advanced features like larger drive support, faster boot times, and better security. Example, a computer using UEFI secure boot ensures only trusted operating systems can load, protecting against malware at startup. UPnP, which is Universal Plug and Play. So it is a networking protocol standard that enables devices to automatically discover and communicate with each other on a network without manual setup. For example, a Wi-Fi printer using PNP can be detected and connected by laptop or smartphone without needing manual driver installation. UPS is uninterruptible power supply. It is a device that provides backup power to computers, servers, or other equipment during a power outage or voltage drop, preventing data loss or hardware damage. Example, an office server connected to a UPS keeps running long enough during a blackout to safely shut down and protect critical files. USB, which is Universal Serial Bus. So it is a standard interface used to connect devices like keyboards, mice, storage drives, and printers to computers for data transfer and power supply. Example, a flash drive plugged into a computer's USB port allows quick file transfer between devices. UTM is Unified Threat Management. So it is a security solution that combines multiple network protection features such as a firewall, antivirus, intrusion detection, and content filtering into a single device. Example, a small business uses a UTM appliance to block malware, filter web traffic, and monitor network threats in all in one system. VA, which is vertical alignment. So it is a type of LCD panel technology where liquid crystal align vertically to block light, providing better contrast and deeper blacks than TN panels, but with slower response time. Example, many high-end monitors and TVs use VA panels to deliver richer colors and better image quality for movies. VDI, which is Virtual Desktop Infrastructure. So it is a technology that hosts desktop environment on a centralized server, allowing users to access their desktop remotely from any device. Example, employees working from home use VDI to log into a virtual Windows desktop hosted on the company's server, accessing all applications and files securely. VGA is video graphic array. So it is an analog display standard used to connect computers to monitors supporting resolution up to 640 into 480 original standard and higher in later extension. Example, older desktop PCs use a VGA cable to connect the computer to a monitor for video output. VLAN is Virtual Local Area Network. So it is a logical grouping of devices within a physical network that allows them to communicate as if they are on the same LAN, improving security and network management. Example, a company creates separate VLANs for the accounting and HR department so their traffic is isolated even though they share the same physical switches. VNC is Virtual Network Computer. So it is a remote desktop protocol that allows users to view and control another computer or a network using graphical interface sharing. Example, an IT technician uses VNC to remotely troubleshoot an employee's computer from a different office. VoIP or VoIP is voice over IP. So it is a technology that allows voice calls to be made over the internet instead of traditional telephone lines. Example, applications like Skype, Zoom, or Microsoft Zoom uses VoIP to make voice calls and video calls online. VPN is virtual private network. So it is a service that creates a secure encrypted connection over the internet, allowing users to access a network privately and safely. Example, employees working remotely use a VPN to securely connect to their company's internal network from home. VRAM is video random access memory. It is a type of memory used by graphic cards to store image data and textures for faster access by GPU, improving graphic performance. For example, a gaming PC with 8 GB of VRAM can render high resolution textures and support multiple monitors smoothly. WAN is Wide Area Network. So it is a network that spans a large geographical area connecting multiple smaller networks like lanes over long distances using router, lease lines, or the internet. Example, the internet itself is the largest WAN connecting offices, homes, and data centers worldwide. WinRM, that is Windows Remote Management. It is a Microsoft protocol that allows administrators to remotely manage and execute commands on Windows computer using the WS management standard. For example, an IT admin uses WinRM to run a PowerShell script on multiple remote servers without physically accessing each machine. WISP is a wireless internet service provider. So it is a company that provides internet access wirelessly using radio signal instead of traditional wired connections like DSL or fiber. For example, a rural area subscribes to a WISP to get internet service via wireless antennas rather than waiting for cable infrastructure. WLAN, that is wireless LAN or local area network. So it is a local area network that connects devices using wireless radio signal instead of cables, allowing mobility within the coverage area. For example, a home Wi-Fi network is a WLAN that lets laptops, smartphones, and smart TVs connect without Ethernet cables. WPA is Wi-Fi protected access. So it is a security protocol for wireless networks that encrypts data and authenticates devices to protect Wi-Fi communications from unauthorized access. For example, a home router using WPA2 requires a password to connect, keeping the network secure from intruders. WWWAN is Wireless Wide Area Network. So it is a network that provides wireless connectivity over a large geographic area, often using cellular networks like 3G, 4G, or 5G. For example, a smartphone accessing the internet through 4G LTE is connected via a WWAN. XDR is extended detection and response. So it is a cybersecurity approach that integrates multiple security products like endpoints, network, and cloud monitoring into a unified system for comprehensive threat detection and response. Example, a company uses XDR to automatically detect and respond to a ransomware attack across its endpoints, network, and cloud applications in real time. XFS is Extended File System. It is a high-performance 64-bit journaling file system commonly used in Linux, designed for large files, scalability, and reliability. Example, a Linux server storing multi-terabyte databases may use XFS for efficient file management and quick access. XSS, that is cross-site scripting. It is a web security vulnerability that allows attackers to inject malicious scripts into web pages viewed by other users, potentially stealing data or hijacking sessions. For example, an attacker inserts a malicious JavaScript into a comment section, and when other users view it, their cookies or login credential could be stolen. So that's all for this session. I hope it has been informative. So if you are looking for a complete free course on the CompTIA A Plus Core 1 and Core 2 as per the latest objective, that is 1202 and 1201, I have both these courses on my channel. You can view them for free and pass the exam. See you in the next video.